Hey, everybody, and welcome back to episode 2 of the Married to Wrestling podcast. This week, we're going to go over Money in the Bank and the PLE. That overall was honestly like my least favorite one this year. But yeah, we're going to kind of go into it. What were some of the matches that we had slated for this one?
Well, I mean, the main event was the Bloodline versus Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens. Of course, we had the men's Money in the Bank, the women's Money in the Bank matches. We had an Intercontinental defending match with Sami Zayn and Braun Breaker. And we had... I'm trying to think. There was a lot that went on. But...
I mean,
really, and the Seth Rollins, I can't believe I forgot Seth Rollins and Drew not Drew McIntyre, but Damian
Priest, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it was a pretty built-up card. I mean, I was kind of excited for it, for sure, leading up to it. I would say my least favorite one I was excited for would be the Damian Priest, Seth Rollins.
Really?
Not in a bad way, because I was excited for Seth to wrestle, but I knew that Damian wasn't going to drop the belt yet.
No, is that what you figured?
Yeah, with like the storyline that he had going on with Drew and everything, I figured that wasn't going to work. For Seth to come back and get it, and especially with the terms that they made. As soon as they made like terms to it, I was like, oh, he's probably not going to see it.
Really? I don't know. I thought the opposite, but I've been watching wrestling for a lot less time than you have, but I definitely thought that it would have been a cool storyline to see Damian leave the Bloodline, especially since there you can tell there is some tension between him and the rest of the group. It's not like they were deaf to what he told Seth Rollins the other week, that he didn't need the Bloodline. I'm sorry, not the Bloodline. He didn't need the Judgment Day. The Judgment Day needed him. But yeah, it is what it is now, right?
No, absolutely. I mean, Seth Rollins come back and doing his first little wrestling stunt since WrestleMania 40, with a couple promos before that, to kind of get back in the swing of things. But he did really well in his match. But let's get right into the card itself or the show itself, and see where it opens. Michael Cole is going to be opening up the show again. We see the Bloodline walking into the venue. I also see Cody Rhodes coming in from the tour bus. Kevin Owens, Randy Orton. One of the notes that I have here is Kevin Owens is in some Patrick Star looking shorts. So he was picking a good one. A lot of green. Green with a little bit of pink.
Yeah.
Trish Stratus, WWE Hall of Famer, is going to be the host of the Money in the Bank. This is a couple times where they start announcing a few of the matches. Showing a promo for Carlito, right? Or for the Judgment Day. Yeah. And now Carlito's pretty much in any and every Judgment Day promo, and he's out there. He is all but an unofficial member.
Yeah, he is.
I can't remember JD McDonough's what do you call it? Like introduction into the Judgment Day. Induction, yeah. Into the Judgment Day, but I know he got flack for a while for being the same idea, so maybe that's just the way that they do that.
A pretty exclusive group.
We get a pretty long introduction for the Money to the Bank card itself with like really heisty, kind of like vibes, kind of James Bondish.
Yes, yeah. Even the music was very reminiscent of kind of an older spy themed movie. Right before the first man, who is Jey Uso, comes out and makes his entrance for Money in the Bank, they kind of zoom in on the briefcase, of course, and it's important to note, because they've been pushing this a lot recently, that the boys was the sponsor named for the hanger on the briefcase. And I follow Cody Rhodes on Instagram, and I saw on his stories last week that he actually did a promo photo shoot for The Boys.
The Boys is that Amazon Prime TV show.
Yes, yes. And he did it wearing Homelander's main cape, actually.
I could see it. Yeah.
I think it's... they're definitely foreshadowing a heel turn for him. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do. But maybe it's not connected. I don't know.
He's my face for now. But, so yeah. After that little heist promo, Samantha Irving is announcing the men's Money in the Bank match, which I was really surprised was the kickoff.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like it would be later in the card, but the match itself was kind of a kickoff.
It was,
you know?
Yeah.
But first up, we have Jey Uso, who last week had a huge entrance. And they're just kind of following off that again on the PLE. Coming from the crowd again?
Yeah, he's coming out from the crowd.
The last week before he had a regular entrance, and then the one before that was the big one.
Yeah.
With the whole crowd getting involved in that.
Yeah. He I feel like that might become his usual thing for as long as he remains a solo act. I think he's very over right now, and even Michael Cole mentioned that Jey going into the Money in the Bank match is the sentimental favorite. I personally, before watching the match, he was my favorite to win for sure. I really like Jey Uso, but part of me feels like that might mess up some later Bloodline stories if he wins this Money in the Bank. So, but I held out hope.
Right, but I just think them moving him to main event Jey Uso. At first, I didn't understand it. He still is a pretty mid-card match.
Yeah.
But I'm so much more excited when he's here now. With this main event gimmick change. And at first, it was just main event Jey Uso, and I couldn't quite see what was happening there. But as soon as he started getting over again, and everyone started getting into it, and the help of the WWE's production, definitely got him back to where he's a huge face now. Where just last year he was a really disliked heel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was a good one. Out comes Andrade. He has a really kind of spooky entrance with a little piano music.
It was good.
He actually comes out in a pink long coat and a skull mask. I don't know, it was bad. I don't have too much to say about Andrade because I never see Andrade.
I do kind of feel like that, yeah.
Yeah, moving straight on. LA Knight comes out, does a huge pop, right?
Yeah.
And one thing that he does that I'm not sure you would know about, but he did the Jeff Hardy under the ladder move, which every time that Jeff Hardy had a ladder match of any sort, he would walk under the ladders being superstitious, right? And he was just like a cool guy with it, right? But I don't really see it too often. None of the other guys did it, but LA Knight did it.
Yeah.
He went right under the ladder. But,
I didn't notice that, actually.
Yeah, huge entrance there.
Are you this way? So, LA Knight has not been a favorite of mine, as you know. But after watching his entrance at Money in the Bank, he started to grow on me, and I can't really explain it. It was just his entrance, and then, of course, the rest of his performance throughout the match. But I don't know, do you ever get swayed?
My honest opinion of it is I was a really big fan of LA Knight when he went over for the first time.
Sure.
Like a big, over pop. And then, honestly, I've been dwindling a little bit.
Oh, you're the opposite.
Yeah, because he hasn't been getting a lot of wins. He hasn't been getting wins, right?
Yeah, he hasn't won very many matches.
And I feel like he needs to be pushed harder because he's over right now.
Yeah.
So I feel like he needs to get pushed harder, actually be a contender for any title, right?
I think that's a hard call, though, because there's so many people who are over right now,
Well, sure, but, I mean, he's not a young buck.
No, he's not.
So... I don't know. Like, I think it could be time for him, but that's kind of like my feeling. I really like LA Knight. I just I want to see some progression with him.
It would be nice. Yeah, I agree there.
Next we have Chad Gable, and
chants, you
suck, dude. Like, Chad Gable is the modern era's Kurt Angle, the Olympian gimmick, now fully adopted because the crowd is chanting "You suck," which famously they would only chant during Kurt Angle's entrance.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, and they finally got the cadence down. The last couple times have been fast or slow, but they finally got the cadence down. It sounds exactly like it did.
For Kurt?
Exactly, for Kurt Angle.
Really?
Yeah, and he reacts exactly the same. Chad Gable's gimmick right now is Kurt Angle.
Well, now I need to go back and watch his matches.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also noticed the bald spot on Gable. It's not as bad as Cena's, but
Poor
close.
man can't. Neither of those men can help it.
No.
So blessed with money for hair plugs or great hair.
Also, let's go back to Andrade really quick. The crowd did not talk. Like, the crowd made zero noise when Andrade came out. In WWE, it's if you're a face, it's woo, and the crowd goes crazy. If you're a heel, they boo, and everybody hates you. Mm-hmm. But they do something, right?
Yeah.
And Andrade, when he came out, it was just, you could hear a pen drop.
It was notably quiet, for sure, when him and this next man, Carmelo Hayes, came out. When both of them came out, it was really silent at first, and then I think some people started to pick up a little momentum. But
I think Carmelo got a decent crowd reaction.
You do?
I might disagree, with that, but we can agree to disagree. But I mean, Andrade, I will fully silent.
Well, for me, I don't even know, like, is Andrade face? Is he heel? Like, he seems to have more of a heel persona, but I'm not super wrapped up in his story or have been watching long enough to be completely honest. Maybe someone can correct me on this, but I don't know how long he's been wrestling, but just his story particularly has not really grabbed my attention. And I think that, for me, if I had been there in person, that would have definitely affected my reaction to him coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, I don't really have too much on Andrade, honestly.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre's music hits. Which Drew McIntyre's pretty good, but for me it was nothing like special because it was like every other time like his entrance hits,
We've seen a lot of him recently. I think maybe that's partially why he's wearing on us a little bit just with how frequently he's been coming out and making his big entrance. And of course, he's not really well, I mean, the crowd said it all. As soon as they heard his music cue, they just started chanting CM Punk. And I think that tells you all you need to know. To know. They knew he was coming out last, and they knew exactly what they wanted to communicate to him.
So, yeah, Drew gets his entrance over with, but because it is a PLE, when he goes up on the turnbuckles, he does get the moment of fire with the other three turnbuckles. So we jump into the match. Really fast pace to start off. I mean, I don't know how else you can kind of handle 6 dudes. It's either they don't do anything or they just all go for it. Drew in LA, that can't be true. Somebody in LA puts Drew over the rope.
Oh, I think... Well, okay, so I know Jay and LA did team up for at least one big moment against Drew, because this kind of goes into what I told you on Friday after watching SmackDown.
Oh, excuse me, yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I got it.
That it's really going to be an LA Knight, Jay, and Drew match more than anything. Yeah. And we saw
Carmelo, Andrade, and who's the other guy? Excuse me for forgetting him.
Carmelo, Andrade, Chad Gable.
Kurt Angle. Gable is such a good wrestler, but I just knew that, he's not here to win.
Yeah.
So Jay and Drew, or Jay and LA Knight take Drew over the ropes. And then Jay and LA kind of go and put other people down until it's just them.
Yeah.
Which I saw happening immediately. You got two faces kind of stepping towards each other.
Mm-hmm.
Both leap to opposite sides of the ring and into the opponents on either side as they are trying to enter. Drew hits the crew first. Drew hits, the crew first, like, takes everybody out and then sets up the ladder. Chad Gable goes up and gets stunned on top of the ladder. And then Gable puts LA into an armband and on the ladder itself. Mm-hmm. And then Andrade jumps to break the hold. So this was like the first spot of the match, like first ladder spot.
Sure, yeah.
Two guys go up the ladder, one guy gets caught halfway through and like falls, and he's kind of in the upside down angle. Mm-hmm. And it was pretty cool. And then Andrade comes up and kind of finishes the spot and gets everybody down on the ground. The crowd goes woo, and then you go on to the next one. Andrade climbs up the ladder and Carmelo pulls him off. Carmelo keeps him down with a clothesline, which I was surprised that Andrade has sold the clothesline as well as he did. Because Andrade's big. He's a pretty big dude.
Yeah, he is.
Carmelo's not the biggest guy.
Yeah, relatively.
Especially like in a I don't know, like a Money in the Bank match, PLE type deal. Mm-hmm. I was just surprised that he sold it as well as he did is all.
Yeah, I think both Carmelo and Andrade, despite not being, the fan or sentimental favorites for this match, I think that they both did an amazing job, and Chad as well. All three of them, without knowing that they weren't going to be the main, really the main contenders for the win. They really gave it their all, though. I have to give them props for that.
Really showed out.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Crowd starts chanting for the tables, which I thought was really funny in like a ladder match, ladder-specific match. Crowd goes OMG when Carmelo and Andrade jump off the rope into ladder, and then it goes into a holy shit moment. Jay and LA get into a yeet off.
A yeet and a yeah off.
A yeet and a yeah off.
Yeah.
Right now, I just have that as a note that Jey Uso is carrying like a portion of this match at this point.
Yeah.
It's just been kind of Jay going around, taking people out, and then almost getting put down, and then resolving.
Oh, yeah. He almost has it twice. I think total, he was able to grab the briefcase at least 3 or 4 times in the whole match.
So then we got Chad Gable rallying, and he's like handing out suplexes to everyone.
Suplex king over here.
Yep. Crowd is still saying "you suck" while he climbs the ladder.
Oh,
so it didn't do anything. LA Knight and Gable hit the ladder the wrong way after a ladder spot. So the ladder is supposed to be like flat down, but it was like up down. I don't know how to really explain it. It was on its side laying down.
Yes, yeah.
And it looked like it hurt much worse than it normally would,
I can imagine, yeah.
LA Knight clears the announce table and makes a bridge with the ladder, but I instantly felt like he was going to get it because whoever sets it up normally gets countered.
I remember you saying that to me while we were watching it, and then it didn't happen for a minute.
Quite a while.
Yeah,
quite a while, till close to the end of the match.
Yeah.
But Gable sets up another ladder with Carmelo. And Gable ankle locks Carmelo in between the ladders. Yeah,
that was a good spot for sure. Yeah.
Drew drives Gable into a ladder, then into the corner. Then Claymore's Andrade climbs the ladder. Then Jay stops and LA smacks Drew with the ladder. LA and Jay team up on Drew. Once again, LA and Jay climb at the same time. We get a yeah yeet up at the top. The crowd is loving it, by the way. Like it's so loud. Everyone is screaming it. Which also kind of gets annoying to me because like LA and Jay are the only ones that every time they hit someone, they say their catchphrase, right? No matter what it is.
Yeah, but I think that's why they're so big with the crowd.
Sure.
I mean, you have to keep it going the whole
You
match,
got to keep
right?
it going, dude. Momentum.
Oh my gosh.
Carmella pushes it up, over and rushes to climb Andrade, but Andrade beats him up with on the ladder bridge.
Yeah.
Honestly, we get back to the last spot here. Andrade and Carmella Hayes go through the ladder. LA Knight and Chad Gable get into it, but Chad Gable puts LA Knight over the rope into the ladder that was previously set up by LA Knight.
Just like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay removes the ladder, and Gable is now hanging from the briefcase.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
And he comes off, and the thud of Chad Gable hitting the ring was hellacious. And
I mean, that's a big height to land. I can't remember. Did he land on his feet, or did he?
He landed on like his face.
Did he
like
really?
He kind of like landed on his face and just took it.
That's a crazy spot to me, because like I've jumped, just getting over things. If you're walking out somewhere where there's a lot of obstacles, like getting up on one, jumping off to the ground below, like that can hurt if you land the wrong. That, yeah, he got my respect for sure. Just his athleticism and his bravery to take that spot.
So after that, he takes a spear from Jay.
Yep. Famous Samoan spear.
And he climbs ladder. Drew throws a ladder at Jay from the bottom, which was a crazy spot. Dude.
Yeah.
And then
great
he climbs up.
Drew,
yeah, great aim,
I don't
dude.
think I could throw a ladder.
When you have a whole ladder, he climbs and takes it eventually, and Drew McIntyre ends up winning Money in the Bank.
Yeah, he just winds up solo on the ladder after Jay gets smacked in the face. Yeah, so, in between breaks and in between getting ready for the other matches, basically the entire night, as soon as Drew gets that briefcase, I mean, we just hear Corey Graves and Michael Cole just saying, oh, he's about to cash it in any second now. And I think you and I had this conversation maybe the day after we watched it, but it was a little annoying because they did keep making it seem like he absolutely needed to cash it in the same night he got it. And of course that is what happened, but it did, I don't know, I think I wanted a little less foreshadowing from them on that one. And I was really hoping he wouldn't cash it in the night he got it, but that's not. Well,
Drew was my least pick for this match.
Really?
I thought it was Jay or LA Knight for sure.
I thought LA Knight over Drew for sure. Yeah.
So Drew taking it, I was like, all right, that's cool. The Money in the Bank match for me was, I thought it had some cool spots, but it felt a little short.
You think it was short? So this is my first Money in the Bank, I'll be honest, and you know that. But so was it short compared to other Money in the Bank men's matches?
I think so.
Okay.
And maybe now looking back at it, it had some cool spots, but it didn't have enough. Maybe that's what I was thinking, because the women's match later on completely delivers, right?
I do feel like the women's match, despite some spot botching there, it definitely overshadowed the men's. For sure. For sure. Yeah.
So we move on from that. Now we've got Cody and Metro Boomin doing
their ad.
Doing a boys promo.
Yeah.
Or no, excuse me, Bad Blood.
A Bad Blood
Atlanta,
promo.
Georgia. Yep.
Well, I could be wrong, but I had in my notes that Braun Breaker and Sami Zayn's match was before the Bad Blood announcement.
Oh, is that?
Am I wrong?
No, maybe it's just more the boys promo that I'm talking about here. But I do say that it's kind of annoying.
You like him in Metro Boomin?
No, the boys promo.
Oh, it's very pushed right now. I mean,
there's so much of it.
Yeah.
And, which is weird because I'm pretty sure the show just got canceled.
No, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, but I could be wrong.
Well, maybe this is their last-ditch attempt. Not saying that advertising with WWE should be a last-ditch attempt for anyone, but maybe this is their last, marketing pull. They were like,
before they're done,
yeah.
We'll just run it through the WWE's network real quick.
I mean, hey, there's so many people who like Cody Rhodes right now. If he is promoing as Homelander, I mean, I saw a clip the other day of him saying that he was going to go Homelander on Paul Heyman a while back. So, I mean...
I can see it.
Yeah, yeah.
We go into Sami Zayn versus Braun. Sami Zayn
Braun
has the
Breaker.
Intercontinental Championship.
Yep.
Samantha Irving, she announces Braun Breaker, but she always kind of does it like breaker, which I'm not a fan of. I really don't like it.
You don't like the way she says breaker?
No, she says a breaker, and I don't like it, dude. But
you're a little nitpicky.
Everything else, she's cool.
Okay.
But Braun Breaker is kind of spooky. Like he's got some muscles, and when he flexes, his vein kind of pops out of his forehead. Me personally, I hope Sammy didn't lose a title on this one.
Even though you like Braun Breaker, you're a pretty big fan, I would say.
Yeah. But I think Sammy is still a little cooler.
I mean, yeah, I like Sami Zayn. This match wasn't like the one thing I was most looking forward to seeing. But I thought it was a good match overall. And it did definitely cement for me that I don't like Braun Breaker. Yeah, I mean, I normally like heels. And I think their storylines can be a little more interesting. But with Braun, I just can't get behind it. I mean, there was that moment, you know, after Sami Zayn kicked out, being pinned by Braun Breaker, that Breaker just does push-ups. Mm-hmm. And it just, for me, he is like, I don't know. It just that persona. I can't deal with it.
Can't get behind it.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
But so Michael Cole actually says over there that the only people that have pinned Gunther is Sammy, Braun, and Ilya Dragunov, which I thought was kind of cool because I thought, you know, Gunther's been around for a while. He had a big title reign, you know.
Oh yeah.
So that was pretty cool. But so they get into their match and it starts off pretty normal. You know, back and forth with an arm lock and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Just kind of clinch up and start feeling each other out. One of them goes over. I believe it's Braun or Sammy, but that is the first time that I ever like see that Prime is on like turnbuckles now. Which you know, I thought it was just like in the middle, but it's on the turnbuckles, which I could have like missed that before, but I just noticed it now.
Sure, yeah. I feel like they are kind of growing their advertisements in WWE, which makes sense because Logan is doing a great job with his career there, so I'm not surprised to see more of it.
Yeah. About this time, Michael Cole goes over the air saying that he believes that Braun has that dog in him.
No.
Which, yeah, it just didn't land, dude. Good try, but...
I love Michael Cole, and that just endears him more to me, but it was definitely, I don't know if that landed.
After a while, it starts to turn into kind of a squash for Braun, but Sammy rallies with some chops, but it is short-lived, and we get the first cover, and Sammy kicks out, and Braun does the push-ups.
Oh my god, you should have seen how far up to the ceiling my eyes were glued when he started doing that. I was so pissed. So pissed.
No, it was over the top, dude.
He's really taken his persona and just embraced it. I mean, for that, I'll give Braun Breaker a lot of credit. I mean, you have to be such an outgoing person to just boldly display that type of persona. I don't know, of course, what he's like outside his job in the ring, but props to him for being as bold as he is. But anyway, sorry, back to what you were saying.
But after the push-ups, they kind of get back into it for a while, and then we have a top rope DDT. Both of them going down with Sammy giving the cover. They get a 1-2 count there. Sammy takes Braun over the top and goes outside to deal some chops. At this point, I noticed that Sammy's kind of looking rugged and weathered a little bit. Like he looks a little aged, you know? Sami Zayn looks obvious that he's talking spots to Braun. I mean, he's just like talking up a storm next to him. Sami Zayn
How'd you feel about that?
I don't know. I don't really care, but I don't know. It's just fun when I notice it, I guess.
Does it not take away too much for you when you
not
notice
really
spot call-outs? No.
Not really, no.
Maybe I'm just too new yet to understand that sometimes it can't be helped. But for me, sometimes I'm like...
Really knocks you out of it?
Yeah, it does knock me out of kind of the whole momentum of the match. and whatever story they're trying to build through it. Absolutely, yeah.
Sami Zayn gets a Blue Thunderbomb suplex, which was pretty cool. And
I didn't know it was called that.
Braun,
Is that the official
Braun
name
kicks
of
out
that?
after 2. Yeah, dude. No, I just made that up.
A Blue Thunderbomb suplex?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're going to have to go back and rewatch. You're going to have to point it out to me so I can use that phrase.
Look, that's a Blue Thunderbomb suplex right there.
Okay.
Later tonight, I'm going to hit you with a Blue Thunderbomb suplex. So yeah, he gives him the kick out there. Then we have Braun Breaker doing a Frankensteiner off the top. Sammy almost doesn't kick out. And then we get a "This is awesome" chance from the crowd from that Frankensteiner. It was huge and very loud.
Yeah.
We get more outside spots and over the announce table. Sami Zayn flies outside of the ring 3 different times. And on the 3rd time, he takes Braun Breaker over the announce table, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. I liked that moment.
At that point, that had unplugged Michael Cole. And I thought...
Graves was just talking about himself for a minute there.
Yeah. Corey Graves like, Michael Cole does not have a microphone. He seems to be unplugged at the moment.
And he goes, I don't think he can hear me either.
Yeah, and so I think that Sammy might have hurt his knee a little bit in this moment. He kind of takes an extra second to sit there and rub it in, you know?
I noticed that, yeah.
So we see a couple corner spots once we get back into the ring. And we see Sammy line up for a haluva kick, which a haluva kick from Sami Zayn is equal to like the atomic bomb. It is so over as a move. Like Cody Rhodes, he needs 3 finishers sometimes, you know. But we talking about one haluva kick and it's over that night. You know, that's how Sammy's always kind of been with that finisher.
Really, that's it. You're done after that. Okay.
But 1, 2, 3. Sammy retains. I thought it was a fun match, and I look at Braun a little bit better because I felt like he really put in a lot of work. It was cool to see him have a longer form match. I feel like we've been seeing a lot of squashes lately.
Oh, he's been really squash match. Most of his, yeah, absolutely.
And I say that his writing has been iffy on the weekly program, but I just feel like, his promos haven't been the hottest on the weeklies, and we just see him for about 4 to 7 minutes whenever he wrestles, you know?
I mean, for being a match that I really, like, you know, I knew that it was happening at Money in the Bank, but, for being a match I didn't care strongly about either way, except for I didn't care for Braun Breaker. My only thoughts after were, okay, so I don't know if you got a chance to watch the post-show, but Sami Zayn was interviewed on TV, and kind of what you were saying, like, he just looked weathered. I mean, I don't know if this was him leaning into his persona or him being, just open as a person, personally with the interviewer, but he did say, he's exhausted, and he said there's just, this past week, right before Money in the Bank, he had his first comedy debut, which you had told me about that was going to happen. And, he just said everyone always doubts him that he's going to retain, and he's retained, of course, ever since he won the Intercontinental. And he just said he's getting exhausted just from the amount of negativity coming towards him. I was kind of surprised, honestly, that Sammy retained this one, because they have been pushing Braun so hard. I mean, he has been pushed really hard in the weeklies. And so for that reason, I guess I was surprised to see him lose this match. And I am curious to see where they take him next, because this was his big thing. And then for him to lose the match, I don't know. Maybe other people saw that coming, but I expected the opposite outcome. I don't know. Did you have any pre-show thoughts on their match about who was going to win?
Yeah, no, I definitely felt like Sammy was going to take it home.
Okay.
Just because Braun, he's been dominating, but, like, he hasn't had, like, his moment.
Yeah.
Where he wows the crowd or something like that. They're like, oh, that's champ status,
I guess if you think about who held it before Sammy, it was Gunther. I don't feel like Braun Breaker.
And Gunther wins the Intercontinental Championship just from his chop.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Right?
Like,
yeah.
I think it's devastating. and it comes out.
Gosh.
It comes out every match.
Oh yeah. His chest is always beat right after.
Another thing that I note here is I like how Sammy falls onto his opponent whenever he does like the haluva kick because it's always straight into a pin, right?
Yeah.
So he just kind of like he sends his knee, through their jaw over the top rope, right? And then he just kind of allows himself to fall from that point, like onto the opponent.
Very smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just like he is exhausted, right? And he just is going for the last ditch pin. So I don't know. I like it that he does that, and he does that pretty often.
Yeah, respect to Sammy for sure.
But at this point, this is when we get the Cody Metro Boomin.
Yeah. Yep, the announcement of Bad Blood. So did I hear it right that it was a returning show?
Yeah.
It's not new.
Yeah, it's more like a rivalry type promo, if that makes sense.
Okay, so that's on October 5th this year. And, well, I mean, I don't think it's any secret that WWE has been building up some bad blood between a lot of people. If what had happened between Drew and CM Punk, if that hadn't happened as early as Money in the Bank, I would have said they were definitely going to figure it out at Bad Blood. I think, I don't know. I mean, they could stretch it all the way out till there, right? Now with Drew's current suspension from...
Right, indefinitely.
From Raw. I think that we could see... I mean, I'm super excited for Bad Blood. I think we could see a Bloodline rivalry. I don't really know how that's going to play out. It'll depend on how SummerSlam goes, right? But yeah, I mean, I think there's so much potential for that PLE. I'm so excited for Bad Blood.
Yeah, no, that one will really be good. And it's in Atlanta, Georgia, Cody's hometown. Let's remember that the last time a face went to a hometown, CM Punk in Chicago, got beat up by Drew McIntyre.
Well, Cody kind of got beat up by the Bloodline tonight.
I think Roman might come. I think that might be.
You think he's gonna wait all the way till Bad Blood?
Might be the Bad Blood.
Okay,
Yep.
I could see it.
So we see Tiffany Stratton come back out, and she talks for a little bit about her Hall of Fame.
I think you mean Trish Stratus.
Close.
Yeah.
But comes out and she talks a little bit about her Hall of Fame stuff. She's got a very smoker voice, very raspy.
Really? I didn't even notice that.
She says, you know who else I'm going to bring out that's in the Hall of Fame with me? And we're like...
Who?
Right? It could only be 600 other superstars, right?
Right.
And she just very kind of low and not enthusiastic just goes, John Cena. And, I was like, sweet, and then his music hit and I was like, get her off the stage because this is John Cena coming out and that's the entrance you give him. With him pulling out the rag that says one last time, right? I just couldn't help but see this Trish lady, right?
Trish lady. The Hall of Famer? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure.
Announcing this guy as John Cena. And, oh man, it totally killed it for me. But when Cena came out and, everything started going off, I came back around. But,
I didn't notice anything. Like, I didn't think anything either way of her introduction of John Cena. Ruined it for you, huh?
It's terrible.
All right.
But John Cena gets the mic. He says, this is why I'm here after a while. It took a minute for him to get around to why he was here. He couldn't find a way to bring it up, I guess. But
I think everyone was just so excited to see him.
Yeah.
I mean, for him to show up at Money in the Bank is huge.
But he announces his official retirement from the WWE, which kind of hit hard for me for sure. But
yeah,
John Cena is pretty cool guy, but he hasn't really been that invested in the WWE for the last 5 or 6 years, maybe even more. So I don't know.
I just saw an ad for him hosting Shark Week. So.
Yeah, so it's tough.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It's time. I think it's a good timing for him to retire. Not I want to see him go, but I think it was. Well, I'll tell you a little bit more about the post show in a sec, but yeah, I think the way that he's doing it is really cool, and that he is going to do a farewell tour, basically, like a musician. That's really cool to me. But yeah, he gave praise to the fans for building WWE into what it is today, which I thought was so nice of him to say. And I will say, like, even watching his post-show address, he really does come across to me as someone who's pretty humble. I don't think John Cena knows he's John Cena. I don't know if he fully grasps, like, how big he is. Growing up, I didn't watch wrestling, but I knew who John Cena was, absolutely. And, yeah, I don't know. He did mention in his promo that he chose to announce his retirement at Money in the Bank because it's a symbol of opportunity. He, put in a plug for the fact that Raw's going to Netflix in 2025. And all he said during his in-ring promo was that, the World Rumble in 2025 will be his last World Rumble. Same with the Elimination Chamber that year, and same with WrestleMania. For me, like, that's a promise that he's going to be at WrestleMania. I'm assuming he's going to be main eventing, but that could be a big assumption. But for me, just knowing that that's coming down the pipeline without really having built up much story leading into WrestleMania yet, like, the
or
writers,
not even on the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, like, the writers know what's going to happen, but as a fan base, we have no idea. And so for me, just kind of, I've been thinking a little bit about how some of the events lately could, be drawn out that long. I don't think I have even the slightest grasp on what we're going to see at WrestleMania 2025. Yeah.
So, yeah, Cena does say that he's gonna be there when they go to Netflix, and he'll be there for the other bigger PLEs that we have coming up. But I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited for him to be doing one last run.
And did you know, I'm sure many of our listeners know, but did you know that what he said in the post show is that his run is going to be January through December of 2025. So WrestleMania is not going to be his last event.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting because everyone was saying, oh, WrestleMania is where he says goodbye. And he said no.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So Cena thanks the fans for listening to the heartbreaking news, and then offers an open challenge to the WWE roster, basically. And Cena music hits again, he leaves.
Yeah. Sadness.
Yeah. So now we move on to Seth Rollins versus Damian Priest.
Yeah, we get to see a little bit of Judgment Day in their clubhouse before Damian comes out.
Seth's music hits. He always has his good stage presence, and he looks goofy. As
such
always.
A hater on, wait, on Seth or Damian?
On Seth.
Oh, okay,
and
yeah.
I say that he looks goofy still, and it's still hard for me to get behind him on that.
Really?
Like, I really like Seth. I really, really do.
Yeah.
But I hate how goofy he dresses. Come on. I know it's his gimmick, but geez.
That actually is what makes me love him more. If he dressed like any generic, like, wrestler, or just, came out shirtless with, like, some pants on, I don't know. Like, I don't think I could get behind him as much as I do. His style has influenced my perception of him a lot, and has made me like him. Because I was honestly on the fence about him when I first started watching WWE. And when we see Damian with Judgment Day before he makes his entrance, they're hanging out in their clubhouse, he reiterates to the group that no one is to get involved in his match with Seth. Rightly so. I mean, especially for who the Judgment Day is composed of right now. I mean, that's like... I wasn't sure if that was really what they were going to stick to, but I appreciated him saying that. But I noticed, and this was really interesting to me, a very small detail, but right as he's walking out, the camera focuses on Finn Balor's reaction specifically. And I think we've seen some moments throughout Raw that...
yeah, they're definitely leading to...
Finn and Damian are butting heads.
Yeah, they're definitely leading to that. Wherever that goes.
Right. Someone's
whether
leaving the Judgment Day.
Yeah, the dissolution of the Judgment Day, or, they just leave.
Yeah.
So then we get Priest, coming out, and they note in here he's 6'5", which I totally believe. Every time he's in like a Judgment Day promo, he's like towering over them.
He's a huge dude. He's so big.
Yeah, and so now we get the World Heavyweight Championship announcement from Samantha Irving. And they bring out the 8K camera, and I noticed it's a little smudgy. it's got little smudges on it, but that's okay. We go into the match, quick pace,
Very quick pace.
Yeah, and into immediate finishers from both people. They both counter out of it. Rollins, this is his first match since WrestleMania, and he has yet to reach for his knee, which I thought was awesome. I didn't see him reach for his knee a single time in this promo. I was really, really happy with it.
Yeah.
Because the last like 2 years, everything that he's done, he's like reached for his knee at the end of it.
No, he's looking good. He was looking good that Money in the Bank. He really was.
So Damian covers. We get a 2 count. Rollins then rallies and takes Priest over the ropes and calls out Drew.
Well, even before he did that, actually, I noticed that Damian, upon entering the ring, like minutes, I wouldn't even say a full minute into the match, he starts looking behind him. And at first, I was like, I almost thought maybe he's looking to see if someone's coming out from the Judgment Day, if they're going to heed his instructions. But then, well, I already told you that I was upset about this, but of course, Michael Cole and Corey Graves are both saying, well, I wonder if we'll see Drew come out. And then I realized that both him and Seth, Damian and Seth, I should say, are looking around for Drew. They are expecting him any second now, at any point in this match, to cash in his briefcase.
So, Rollins does a swanton, which was pretty sick. He sold it pretty well. And then a moonsault right after, which was cool because I thought, it looked a lot like RVD, Jeff Hardy. And I think he's like an epitome of kind of both of those guys put together. And so they keep on thinking that Drew's coming. Keep checking their shoulder over and over. And at this point, I have it that I don't think so.
You didn't think so at that point?
No, I did not. And so the crowd chants Undertaker, basically calling Damian out for her, having the choke slam, dressing in all black, being tall. It's his fault.
He can't help it.
And so Seth Rollins, top rope frog splash, gets another 2 count. So then Seth grabs Drew and does a huge right hand. Seth gets distracted trying to go high again, back to the top rope, and gets into a top rope bump from Priest. He counters and runs into the other side of the turnbuckle. Priest no-sells and does the same to Rollins, which I was at first surprised that Priest no-sold it, but then I was like, oh wait, he is the heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if his character's not over, he still has like a certain amount of leeway there, right? We get a 2 count. Back and forth elbows, and Priest kicks Rollins in the butt to no effect. I noticed this. He was kind of beating up Rollins from the back, and he went to like kick him in the butt, but he was like, how hard am I going to kick this guy for him to notice? And I don't think he kicked him quite hard enough for him to notice. So
Seth just being nice.
Seth definitely didn't feel this kick. And so it just looks kind of weird. But Seth goes into a pedigree and it doesn't work. But he hits a curb stomp, and it was a really close cover. Rollins tells Priest to get up, and he actually does, and hits with a razor's edge. You don't see this very often, but a tech guy's working on the main announce table, I think, earlier from the match when Michael Cole gets unplugged.
Oh, yeah, they were still working on it at that point.
Rollins is off the top once again, and Damian Priest gets knocked down. He jumps right back up, superplexes off the top, and then back and forth counters into finishers, and a 1-2 count. This is the first botch of the night for me. The first big one. This is a huge botch.
I
this
really
is not,
wish we didn't have to talk about it, but we have to talk about it.
This is not a mess up of a spot.
No, it's not. It's just a clear mess up.
It's just a clear botch.
Yeah.
So Seth does this huge superplex off the top.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. It was a big moment.
Yeah,
They
and
led
then
up to it so much.
and then throws his finisher curb stomp real quick.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And then he rolls over on Damien.
Mm-hmm.
The ref goes 1, 2. Damien
He actually pounds a 3.
He does. He smacks the 3, and Damien closes his eyes in between 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And
which, as we kind of know, is the universal symbol of like he's done.
He's going down, you know? And the ref kind of smacks his hand down and he just goes 2.
Yeah. And I think
Rollins is looking at him like, "What are you doing, man?"
The lights even come back on, which was really interesting to me because I was like, what the hell is going on? I was like, is this a technical difficulty? What is happening? And then all of a sudden, as Seth is looking wildly around the ring, Drew McIntyre's music plays, and out he comes. But for me, I mean, that just... I'm sure that in the coming weeks, they will build off this somehow. I've seen one theory that said, they're going to turn it into, like, Finn Balor paid off the ref. It's a Damien.
Which that's all we had to say in that moment. We were just like, well, the ref must have been paid off, because like that was just such a clear botch. It was really unfortunate, and it was a big moment to botch. But Triple H said later in the post show that mistakes happen. He really kind of just blew it off, but
he did. I was expecting him to address it a little more. And watching the post show, I mean, I can do Triple H's job, so this is not a hard judgment on him. But I was hoping to get a little bit more of a... I know it would break the story kind of like that fourth wall a little bit for him to over-explain it or fully explain it even. But, his real answer was, oh, well, he said, I don't want anyone to remember Damien. This is like a mark on Damien's career. He said, I don't think it was Damien's fault. So he heavily defended the athlete involved.
Yeah.
And then he just said about the ref, he just said, well, maybe he saw something I didn't. So I joked with you earlier that for future generations, they're just going to CGI over with a Damien shoulder up on the 3 count for sure. But
so yeah, Drew comes out. Ellie at this point looks really visibly upset.
I was so upset, you have no idea.
He cashes in, and this is now turned into a triple threat.
I liked that angle.
Yeah, sure. Like that was a really quick fix, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, they kind of do this around for a little bit, yada, yada. Seth actually kind of kept in here. Drew wasn't very much to be found. He kind of was still out from the finisher.
You mean Damien Priest?
Or, yeah, Damien, yeah. But Seth was really kind of holding up and going against Drew for the most part.
It was kind of more of a Seth-Drew match. Yeah.
And then out comes CM Punk. He looks like Kid Rock, kind of. But he's here. He's old and he's a little weathered. He does some crazy chair shots to Drew McIntyre.
I think he's feeling better.
Yeah, and he strangles Drew with the cables.
Oh, God. That was,
and then he does more chair shots into him and takes him back over to the barrier into the announcement area.
Just brutalizes.
And Punk takes the title again and smacks McIntyre. He sits on the announcement table at this point, just holding the title. Throws Drew in. Damien Priest hits a huge choke slam on Drew and retains the title. Rollins is over in the corner of the ring outside, and he looks just like devastated. He's like, am I still going to have a job?
But then he kind of starts dogging CM Punk. And so I think this little situation, if we should call it, between Drew and CM Punk has just grown into more of a 3-man kind of rivalry. I don't know if Damien's going to be involved at this point in that rivalry because he retained. What is he, But maybe they'll write him in as well. But yeah, I was disappointed for Seth, for sure. Happy to see Drew lose it, though. Absolutely, you know how I feel about Drew McIntyre.
So this is what upsets me, right? Like the Money in the Bank is over for the year. It's over on the night it was started.
I know. That's why I was upset that he cashed it in. And even Corey Graves, I believe it was Corey Graves. He even made kind of like a mention that Drew, and I could honestly have seen them taking it this way too. It would have been believable, I should say. But he mentioned that he thought that Drew was going to wait to cash in on Cody Rhodes. during
if he
him versus
lost
the Bloodline.
the Solo Sikoa 6-man, right?
Mm-hmm. And
I could see it.
that.
Yeah, no, I could totally see it.
Drew is good enough to hold up.
That would have been such a crazy heel turn, like a full-on heel turn. Yeah.
And I think Drew's big enough to hold up that almost main event level, you know. Well, he has main evented, but I mean, like, at that level of main event. But, of course not. I don't know. I'm just over the CM Punk Drew rivalry, I guess.
Angle, sure.
I don't know.
But, Rollins and Punk have a stare-off. Corey Graves getting off the mic to go stop Rollins.
Because he's friends with Rollins, right?
So after that we go to a commercial. But I have my first WrestleMania prediction of the year, and I think it's going to be Cena versus Rock 3.
I do. I could see that.
Yeah, I think that'll be a big one.
Because they had their main event WrestleMania themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then WrestleMania 40, they were on opposing teams, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could totally see it.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a great way for Cena to go out.
Yeah, so for Money in the Bank, we've got Nav featuring Meek Mill. Tap. That's the song. It sucked. But,
you just don't like anything poppy.
No. But, I make my note right here. I can't believe that the men's case is already spent on, even though he lost.
It's such a waste.
Yeah, it's such a waste.
But, I don't know. I've heard some people say that they didn't think it was a waste because it's going to build the story so much more now.
Mm-hmm. So now we have, we'll see. Time will tell.
Then next up is the women's Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, Naomi is out first. Every time I see her, I just say, "Get 'em, Glow," to myself. She's cool, honestly. You know, I I'm razzing her a little bit, but I like Naomi. I don't know that she's super over right now. I think she is for women's, the women's division, if you will, of WWE. Zoe Stark is second out for women's Money in the Bank. Personally, I don't know that much about her. Absolutely not taking away from her story so far in WWE that I just, have missed coming into this later in my life. Or her accomplishments. But even Corey Graves he kind of hyped her up for herself a little bit because the crowd reaction to her was eh. And he did say, like, the WWE universe kind of does refuse to accept her. So, I don't know. We'll see how much more of her we see. As we see later on in the night, I mean, she has several botches, in notable botches, I should say. Third out is Lyra Valkyria. You and I always refer to her as Ogre Girl.
Female Shrek.
Yeah, female Shrek. Yep. Not much to say about her entrance personally. And then Tiffany Stratton is fourth out. So I think Tiffany Stratton's pretty over. Of course, for a woman, I think she would be like more of a heel. Because she presents herself as very self-confident, a little arrogant.
Very strong.
Yeah, a little arrogant.
She's pretty ripped.
Yeah, she's ripped. I mean, she's had her Olympic career. She's a great athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, her catchphrase is Tiffy time.
It's Tiffy time.
Yep. And then fifth out is Chelsea Green. Yeah. She is popular with Canada. So
she's very annoying.
Like Chelsea Green. She's growing on me. Mm-hmm. I didn't like her at first. But anyway, she's straight from British Columbia herself.
Dang.
So she was, I think she was one of the favorites at this women's Money in the Bank match. Of course, last but not least, absolutely not least, is Io Sky, representing Damage Control. Are you a fan of Io Sky? I can't get a read on you either way.
I don't mind her at all.
Okay. I like Io Sky.
I like how animated she is sometimes. So funny. So
like
funny.
Some Asian representation, Then for me, I don't know. I appreciate her a lot. She is actually looking to go back to win Money in the Bank. She would become, I can't remember if it was the second or the third woman in WWE history to win Money in the Bank twice in a row. So if she didn't, she obviously didn't win Money in the Bank, but I think that just says something about her as an athlete. Is just she would have, being able to even stand a chance of setting a record. I mean, that's clout by itself, right?
Mm.
So, women's Money in the Bank match starts, and I laughed kind of hard at this one. So everyone just jumps out of the ring, and Chelsea Green is left standing there. She's just like
looking like a dumb blonde.
Yeah, she's not blonde.
But that's what she looks like when she does her next move.
Yeah, she's just like walking around in the center of the ring, looking around. And she actually does try to jump up to get the briefcase from the ring floor, just ground level.
No ladder.
No ladder. I think she's, we don't get the stats on the women's physical features, but she seems tall, but yeah, that's not gonna help.
You're not gonna reach, dude.
Her angle there is supposedly she's admitted to being afraid of heights, so that doesn't really bode well for her. So she was trying to, get her she was trying to try the best she could without getting up on a height
onto a ladder.
Briefcase. Yeah. So Io Sky, she takes the ladder out and she gets into a fight with Tiffany Stratton as she's setting it up. And apparently, Tiffy, as I call her, she doesn't have a really good reputation personality-wise. Again, this is someone I haven't personally seen a ton of. Of course, she's a great athlete, but I haven't been following her too much. But yeah, I mean, the commentators noted her not so great reputation personality-wise. Io Sky is able to drive Tiffany back into the ladder that Io Sky had brought up, and continues to come out on top between that kind of Tiffany Io Sky one-on-one. Next, we have Lyra Valkyria entering the ring, and her and Io Sky both end up under a ladder, with Lyra kind of coming out on top on that exchange. And Io is able to get her feet under her, but Lyra comes through and just drives her back first through just a laid down ladder.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I mean, there were so many moments in this women's match that were just brutal to watch. I mean, when I told you earlier that it overshadowed the men's match for me, I absolutely meant it.
I mean, they were going over and over, through the ladder, up the ladder, tossing each other off, like falling onto
stacking
it.
ladders against each other, like using that for its own leverage.
Yeah, I mean, it was so brutal. And if there was someone getting smacked the ladder on one side of the ring, there was someone getting tossed off the top rope in the other side of the ring. Like, they were constantly doing something, which was cool.
Yeah, it really was. So much respect for the women that participated in this year's Money in the Bank. So, Lyra, after she came out on top with that exchange with Io Sky, she sets up the ladder to climb it. But she gets distracted when Chelsea Green,
Chelsea
Green. By Chelsea Green, who's outside the ropes, and she has Lyra gets distracted by that, and so she's not climbing all the way up. And then we've got Zoe Stark. So, oh gosh, so her and Lyra kind of get into a one-on-one, and this is really where we see the biggest spot botches of the night, I think, right? So I don't know. Lyra is caught by Stark, and then Stark botches 2 spots with Lyra. One is when she rams Lyra. I personally don't have enough experience watching to really tell what they were trying to do, but basically Stark rams Lyra's elbow like from above the ladder straight into the ladder, and like Lyra just like hits her elbow so hard on the
you're
ladder.
talking about when she had her up over her shoulders, and she flipped back. The spot was for her to go onto the ladder.
Okay, sure.
Was to land onto the ladder, but the way that she landed, she just kind of, all of her momentum just smacked her arm and elbow into
Lyra's
that ladder.
elbow. Yeah.
She landed onto the ring, but the only thing that landed on the ladder was her falling arm.
Yes.
Her arm being the last thing to touch the ground, and so it had all the momentum of the fall. And it was such a bad botch in it, and she really held on to it for a minute. You could tell she didn't really scream out. She just kind of
stronger than me.
She was just which I think she would have done in the spot. She just
Sure.
kind of sat there and held her breath.
I think she was stunned
Yeah.
by how that went. When I say she, I mean I think Lyra was stunned by how that spot with Stark went. I don't know, like, who you would say botched that more in that type of a botch. I mean, would that have been Lyra or Stark? That would have been, I guess, if you could say more, I don't want to use the term at fault, but if you could use the term at fault.
Sure. I think it was the girl that threw her.
You think it was Stark?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's her job to throw her on top of the ladder, and she did it right before.
Okay, yeah. When you simplify it like that,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then, Zoe immediately a few seconds after that, Zoe Stark gets up on the top ropes, and she goes to jump onto Lyra, and she just lands on her head, just straight.
Oh, my female Shrek.
No, this is Zoe Stark.
Oh,
yes, on top of female Shrek.
Yes,
yeah,
this is
trying
Zoe Stark.
to.
And she goes from the apron side. Mm-hmm. She goes over the top rope. Something happens. I wonder if she catches her boot on the top rope or what happens, but she just turtlenecks so hard into this ring, dude. Like, her forehead ripples back.
Yeah.
And I can see in the back of her eyelids.
Yeah.
And she's stunned.
Now Stark is down.
She's messed up, dude.
Yeah.
Or she's got Tweety birds.
Yeah.
And you see female Shrek kind of look over and roll off the ladder, because that's what the spot was supposed to be. And she rolls off the ladder, but she's like, "Oh my gosh, dude!
Are you okay?
I've seen a murder."
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And so that was a really bad spot. I hope she's okay. But as a wrestler, I was giving her a lot of crap at this time. Because I don't know, just within 30 seconds, she really hurt herself.
She botched 2 spots in a row.
Yeah. It just didn't look good.
I think that's probably, again, I've been following Zoe Stark, but I'd heard of her before Money in the Bank, but I do wonder how much of that is going to play into continuing the WWE universe to not fully accepting her, and we'll see. I of course I wish her the best. Hope she, and hope she's okay. Absolutely. Then Naomi gets in the ring. Get him, Glow. Naomi gets in the ring. Get him, Glow.
Get him, Glow.
Yeah, and she takes Zoe Stark down once Zoe has recovered, of course. And Naomi does the splits on top of Stark. We have this crazy moment where Naomi just showcases her flexibility, doing the splits.
Whole crowd pops, but your reaction was okay.
Yeah, that was my initial reaction. I've seen the clip now a few times, so I have a lot of respect for it. I just wasn't sure where it was going, I guess, if that makes sense. Yeah. I was like, okay. And then she gets up on the ropes, but Zoe Stark is able to pull her down. So then we see Tiffany Stratton enter the ring, and she goes straight for Naomi. And then Tiffany and Io actually wind up grappling for a ladder. And Tiffany is able to drive Io back into the corner with the ladder.
We've seen that spot a lot in Money in the Bank and in ladder matches, and it always looks incredibly painful and like a really cool spot.
Yeah, I do enjoy watching that. And Tiffy is able to jump off the top rope above where Io is pinned, and then jumps onto Naomi, Stark, and
corner to corner.
Yeah. Lyra, all of who are outside the ring. So that was an incredible spot by Tiffy. Again, I think showcasing her background as a gymnast. Yeah, very incredible spot. So then somehow Chelsea Green again ends up alone inside the ring. And this time she is facing her fear of heights and setting up a large ladder. But Io Sky is able to meet her with a ladder inside the ring and knock Chelsea over outside the ring. And Lyra capitalizes on the situation. And although Io is able to kind of put up a fight with Lyra does counter very well and drives Io into a suplex back into the floor off the ladder. Pretty painful looking spot. Then we see, Zoe Stark come in. She kind of does a little battle with Stratton for a position on one ladder as Naomi just drags Stratton off the same ladder. And this is where we see the crazy spot from Naomi, just straddling 2 ladders. And then her and Stark go down. And
it was kind of stupid. Like,
you didn't like it?
No, it was kind of dumb because
Okay.
she's like walking one step up each time on each ladder, right?
Sure.
And it's just like if you just get over to the other one, right? And immediately she starts walking up. The other two female wrestlers pull the ladders, a little bit. So I don't know, it just looked goofy, but
They stretched her out a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's all right. It was still impressive. I can do it.
Yeah.
Naomi is able to recover, and she gets her hands on the briefcase, but Stratton is able to drag her down outside the ring. So then Naomi counters by dragging out 2 tables, but then Chelsea Green strikes her down and then turns her attention to Tiffy. So we see a Chelsea-Tiffy kind of matchup.
And those 2 tables sit around for quite a while.
Yeah, so actually her and Tiffy, they kind of like have this moment of tension, and then they just agree to help each other, and they set up 2 tables. And then we turn our attention back to the inside of the ring, and we see Stark, Lyra, and Io. All 3 get on a total of 2 ladders, and then Tiffy and Chelsea decide it's time to interfere, wisely. Io and Chelsea kind of exchange some blows, and Zoe Stark drives Tiffy from the ground face first into a horizontally laid ladder. Mm-hmm. Gosh, what a spot. When we say that the women's match was brutal, I mean, it was just... every time they would do any spot, I'd be like, oh my god. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then Stark and Lyra battle for positions on the ladder, and Stark is able to pull Lyra straight into that horizontal ladder, just like she did with Tiffy. And then Naomi comes back in and bounces Stark off the ladder again. Just brutal. Mm-hmm. She gets to the top, but Chelsea runs in, drags her down. Naomi counters again and is able to climb again. It's really up in the air at this point in the match. Chelsea balances on the horizontal ladder, and she drives Naomi face first into that horizontal ladder.
Mm-hmm. At this point, it's like so fast paced.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is rallied.
Yeah,
everyone is rallied, and they all are doing incredibly big spots back and forth. Mm-hmm. The ring looks like Tetris, the way that they have all the ladders set up.
Yeah, it was a long match, too. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was very impressed by the runtime as well. Zoe Stark climbs to the top of the ladder and just barely needs to unclip the case before Io just meets her, and they're both grasping at the case on the top of this ladder. Io backflips Stark into the other horizontal ladder from the very top of, they have different levels of ladders, and just the highest ladder that they had. We just see Stark take this incredible backflip off it. Mm-hmm. Chelsea capitalizes on this situation.
Oh, and Io Sky folds over like a pencil.
She does. Yeah, that's important to note here. Yeah, that took a lot out of her.
She looks like a paperclip.
Yeah, to backflip. Yeah, Stark off that. So Chelsea capitalizes on this weak moment in the match, and Tiffy comes, says, it's my time. It's Tiffy time. She just shakes the ladder. And she is shaking both her and Chelsea. And Tiffy throws her off into the 2 tables set up outside the ring, which we saw Tiffy and Chelsea take.
Every time, like a ladder is going to fall over. This is the only time that it actually happens in this match. But it was huge because it's into 2 tables.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
I'd never seen Chelsea take a spot like that before.
No. She covers, she sells... totally by covering up for herself right before she hits, and then as soon as she hits, she kind of takes a second, and then she just plays dead. She does it really well, right?
Yeah. I gained so much respect for Chelsea Green. I'd seen her a lot as the spokesperson for Piper Niven. Mm-hmm. Piper Niven, excuse me.
Piper Niven.
Piper Niven. But, I mean, I gained so much respect for her coming out of this match for a woman, for herself as a wrestler.
Yeah.
Just all of these women, they brought it home.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really good opportunity for the women to be able to showcase what they can do, in a longer match. I absolutely loved this. So, of course, Tiffy takes it. She has the money in the bank.
After she knocks her off the ladder, she reaches up and she grabs the briefcase.
No one's there to stop it. So,
At this point, the spots that just happened, everyone's gone.
Yeah.
They've
physically recovering.
They've passed on.
Yeah.
And so, Tiff's the only one there, and she grabs it. She does a really good flex and pose for the hard camera. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, dude, like, Money in the Bank, 10 out of 10. The women's one. The women's Money in the Bank match is a 10 out of 10 for me. it was as good as it gets. You know, sometimes I find myself skipping the matches of people that I don't really know about in the WWE. I think anyone that was in this match, I'm willing to see again, except for Double Botch.
Stark?
Yeah.
You don't want to see Stark again?
Not really.
You're going to join the rest of the universe.
I hope she's alright, dude.
Yeah.
But, oh my gosh.
You're not accepting her yet.
That was crazy, no.
Yeah. Alright. I mean, Michael Cole and Corey Graves do note that Tiffany might challenge Bayley at SummerSlam when Bayley goes up against Nia Jax. So, they think that she's going to cash in there. I think she could. I think that she might also cash in a Liv Morgan match. I think that those two would be pretty equally...
Yeah, Liv Morgan just doesn't really have a contender right now, so yeah, it'd be cool to see someone.
Yeah, someone who could hold their own in a match against Liv. But we will see. So it's main event time now.
And I've got to come clean.
What?
You know. I really let you lead the women's Money in the Bank match and take a lot of notes on it.
Yeah.
Our situation was we were planning on watching the pay-per-view as it came out, and we had some plans later on in the day. And by the time we got to it, it had already been about halfway through. And we decided that we were going to wait to watch it until it became a replay. Initially, I just thought that we could rewind it all the way to the beginning and start watching it, but... we started watching it about 1 a.m. That's when the replay came out, and so that's when we started watching it. By now it was about 3:30 or 4.
Yeah, it was pretty late in the evening, early in the morning.
Early in the morning, and I didn't have note making abilities at this point.
That's okay.
I tried my dangest.
I took some. I didn't call out all the spots, but I think we've seen enough clips floating around that we can talk about the more viral moments.
But we got Solo first.
Well, he just enters with the Bloodline, which is composed of Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, and Tonga Loa is not in this match. He will be a ringside observer. Yeah, but of course, like even with the original,
that means
Bloodline,
he's involved.
That means he will be involved.
So yeah, they come out looking good. I'm excited to see Jacob Fatu's first wrestling debut. Yeah, you know he's done a couple beat ups and stuff like that, but he's got a match. You know, right after that, here comes Cody.
Yep.
Or excuse me, first they bring out Kevin Owens. Yeah, they bring out Kevin Owens, and then they have RKO bro, Randy Orton.
Kevin Owens just, I thought it was so funny. He gets in the ring and just gets in Jacob Fatu's face. Instantly. The match hasn't even started. He's just talking shit to Jacob.
I don't understand Kevin Owens sometimes. Sometimes he's just loud.
I think, he's not my favorite, right?
Yeah, just stop being so loud, dude. I really respect that you went up against Stone Cold, you know. Right. But come on now. After that, Randy Orton, which since Backlash France, his theme song is getting constantly sung now. Before it was just big pops, you know. Yeah. And now after 20 years, his theme song is being sung, you know, and that was cool. And then lights go out. We have Cody Rhodes, the man, huge fireworks as always. Makes his way down to the ring. He's looking dapper in his PLE gear that looks damn near Homelander.
He is so close to his heel turn. I can taste the heel turn.
I can taste it. Dude.
I can taste the heel turn.
I can taste the kick in the boot to somebody.
And another thing I can taste, and this is probably a good moment to talk about it, is this is like a big thing in the WWE universe right now. But Randy Orton is absolutely going to betray Cody Rhodes at some point. I think that's what is going to officially that's going to officially spark Cody's heel turn. Absolutely. And I thought we would see it at Money in the Bank. I did, because he gave Cody a dirty look when he came out, and he's eyeing. He stays eyeing the belt.
Constantly.
Yeah, and I'd love to see it happen. I would. I'm such a big supporter of Randy Orton turning on Cody Rhodes.
Yeah. So we get into the match a little bit, and it was pretty cool pace at first. Kevin Owens is out with Jacob Fatu. Solo's out first, but he smacks Jacob Fatu in instantly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's time for you to go, boy. You know?
I was really disappointed with the lack of time Solo had in the ring at Money in the Bank.
He was constantly like coming in and out, but I think Fatu needed to get his debut under.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
And also, I think Solo probably wants to do the least work as the head of the table.
Head of the table. Come on, not the head of the table.
You are not my tribal chief.
I was screaming that with Paul Heyman when that happened. Absolutely.
But so yeah, Jacob Fatu comes out. He's a monster. He's a killer. Like,
he's a scary.
I really like his character. I really like his wrestling. I think he is a really safe worker, but makes it look good.
Caleb, is this the first member of the Bloodline you'll be able to get behind? Do you see that
happening? I'll be able to get behind him when he's out of the Bloodline. But,
oh, goodness. Okay.
But yeah, no, I really liked his performance.
Yeah,
he's
really good.
Yeah, and after a while, Kevin Owens just kind of becomes sucked into the Bloodline's corner, and they just kind of tag in and out from him for a while, just kind of beating him up, beating the brakes on him. It's basically, like a squash match, but they're all just going on Kevin Owens in their corner.
Well, it's interesting because Randy Orton was able to... So you had said that Solo tagged Fatu in, but it was actually... He tagged in Tama Tonga first, and him and Kevin Owens went for a while. And by the time Orton gets into the rings, he actually gets Tama Tonga out, and that is who tags in Jacob Fatu. And Orton is able to, at first, demolish Fatu. Well, it looks like that, right? And then we just see Fatu being almost unfazed by the Viper, which is crazy because Randy Orton is such a looming presence in the ring. Like, I would not want to be in the ring with either of those men, but I think it was really cool to see Orton meet his match, if you will, with Jacob Fatu. I really hope we get to see more of them fighting each other. And as long as Orton doesn't betray Cody, we might.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, then, Fatu rallies. He's able to just brutalize Orton and then tag Solo in. And pretty much the rules of this tag team match are basically ignored by this Temu Bloodline that we see. I mean, all three of them just kind of like hit up on Orton, and I don't know. I felt a little bad for Kevin Owens at some points in this match. I was like, man, he is just getting the crap beat out of him. But then, I remember back when Paul Heyman tried to warn Kevin Owens about this Temu Bloodline. Mm-hmm. Kevin Owens basically said, F you, Paul. I don't care what you have to say.
Yeah, you said, please stop.
Yeah.
While you can, right?
Yeah, he said, don't provoke them. I'm scared of them. And
yeah.
Kevin's like, I got this all day.
Don't worry about it, old man. But
he did not. Kevin, in fact, did not have this all day. No, not at all. And
so then we kind of get into it a little bit where Tama Tonga gets involved here and there. Tongaloa.
Yeah. The man in the suit.
And Tongaloa is standing outside where Jacob Fatu is holding on to him.
Let's talk about this botch. Yeah.
Tama Tonga is holding on to him.
No, it's Jacob Fatu.
Was it Jacob?
Yeah, you had that
and,
right. Yeah.
Here comes Cody.
Off the top rope.
Running off the top ropes, and he goes through the middle rope, and Jacob Fatu kind of pushes into Tongaloa into Cody, and I think he was just kind of supposed to collapse right there. Mm-hmm. But he kind of catches Cody and takes a couple steps back
into the announcer's table,
and he donks his head on this announcer's table so hard. It's what stops the momentum of his body.
Yeah, it was
a huge thud. Cody kind of looks up like, oh,
Cody even
dude,
looks back.
Are you all right, dude?
Like, respect to Cody, because I would have been so distracted if I landed on top of someone like that and watched their head bend against the edge of this table. But, I mean, he kind of looks back and is like, well, we're going to move on, but I hope you're okay. And then we see Tongaloa just crawl.
He's kind of crawling behind the announcer table.
And I joked with you in that moment. I was like, I wonder if he's throwing up over there. Yeah, concussed.
And that was a rough spot.
Yeah.
And what do we see after that? It's really a blur. A lot of it.
The whole match was kind of chaos, right? Like, we get through, like, them brutalizing Kevin Owens. After they're done just demolishing Randy Orton, the whole thing is just, like, a squash match of Cody's team, honestly. Yeah. For me, that's how it came across. And the whole thing is chaos. You know, of course, this Timu bloodline takes it. They take the win. Good thing it wasn't for a title.
It's the Samoan Spike after all of them kind of beat up Cody a little bit.
Yeah, the Samoan Spike is what did Cody in.
They throw the ref back in the ring who previously got knocked out.
He got knocked out several times.
Quite a while.
That poor man. Yeah.
And yeah.
It was a man ref, right?
Yeah. And Solo takes it. He beats my boy, Homelander. And it was hard, man. If I wasn't so tired, I probably would have cried. But, because I'm a Cody crybaby.
You are a crybaby.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that one, I can't give the match very much stars. Like, I'll give it like a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I could see that. It wasn't like my favorite match I've ever witnessed with the Bloodline. Of course, this is a whole new Bloodline.
But, there's not a lot to expect from it, in the way that, it's not a title match. It's just, the big faces and, some big guys behind it and, the other
story
faction
building
behind it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, ultimately it was a good match, but yeah, it didn't take the cake off of, like, the pay-per-view or anything.
No. Definitely, yeah. I think it's important to note a couple instances in here. So, before Cody even came out, the commentators, both Cole and Graves agreed that Roman Reigns, when he had control of the Bloodline with different members, that they had a moral code. But this Timu Bloodline has no moral code whatsoever. Obviously I'm a Bloodline fan. I know you're not. So I'd like to hear your thoughts. Like, do you think that Roman had a moral code at all? No. Absolutely not.
None of his defends, none of his wins, retains were clean, and he never had this Damian Priest moment where he was like, "Guys, stop coming out." It was just expected. It happened. Next week it happened again. Their family here. Why are they saying that it's any different? It's the same exact. So that made no sense coming from that. But
all right, I disagree. But
Money in the Bank overall.
Yeah.
Okay. The pay-per-view as a whole is my least favorite of the year.
Okay.
Just
so you're excited for SummerSlam.
The botches, dude.
Okay.
The botches in the Damian Seth match was terrible. Like, Triple H does the same thing. He's like, this is all people are going to be talking. It's a shame this is all people are going to be talking about, because the match was amazing. And it's like, dude, it was great. It was great, but like, you're WWE, and even when you mess up, you play it through. You say that was the way we were supposed to go, and you didn't this time.
Yeah, I mean, they did admit to a mistake of some sort, right? It definitely took me a little bit out of the moment. I was like, what is happening right now? You know? It's not what is happening. I was like, what?
This is the most what is happening moment since Shane McMahon blew out his hamstrings at WrestleMania 39.
Yeah. But there's no Snoop Dogg today.
But there's no Snoop to come in and save the day. Like, Drew came out and they're like, it's a triple threat. And you're like, but I just watched Seth Rollins win the world title.
I watched the Ref Tap 3.
Yeah, and then call it a 2.
A 2.
So, I don't know. Even if he calls it a 3 right there, Drew comes out, and Priest gets it back. You can play it through. But what they did right then and there it didn't work. Didn't work at all.
Yeah. I agree. I'm interested to see how they will kind of progress that aspect of the story into Raw. They can't ignore it. Absolutely not. Oh my gosh. We need to talk about Drew getting suspended from Raw. I mean, Adam Pearce made the announcement Sunday. He said Drew's off.
Yeah, Drew in the post-show crashed out. And,
hard.
Just crashed out hard and smacked Adam Pearce. And
Wade Barrett was the one who got him off the set.
Yeah. And Wade Barrett, who's my least favorite wrestler of all time, is the one that stopped him.
I like him as a commentator.
Wade Barrett made me stop watching wrestling in 2012.
Ooh, I've heard that from other people too.
So yeah, I don't take him with a grain of salt, but.
So you don't like that he's on Drew's side?
No. Wade Barrett, come at me, bro. But, yeah, so that happened.
Yeah.
He's suspended indefinitely, which means it's Monday right now. But it means he'll be back tonight.
We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he is taking a hiatus. You know, he's...
Imagine he got
He's
injured.
taking L's lately, man. He's taking L's. He took L's in Scotland. He took L's at WrestleMania. You know,
it's just so hard to kind of understand what they're doing with him right now.
I've seen him so much lately, but he's just taking L's back to back, dude.
Yeah, he's being very pushed, but for being as pushed as he is, he's not a fan favorite.
Yeah,
and he's certainly not winning.
And he's not getting
matches.
over. He's not getting over because he's not winning. You know?
Yeah, pretty much.
And so yeah, you got that. Men's Money in the Bank. It was a great match, but just it was a match. Women's Money in the Bank just killed it. 10 out of 10 once again. Just that one killed it absolutely.
Very impressed by Women's Money in the Bank.
What else am I missing again?
Well, the Intercontinental defend against
Sami
Braun
Zayn
Breaker.
and Braun Breaker. I could forget it tomorrow.
It wasn't super noteworthy for you.
Yeah, but Sami Zayn retains. You know, Sami, good guy. I want them to figure out this Intercontinental because they really only run a really certain amount of people through the Intercontinental run, and I really don't like a lot of them in there. I think if anyone's gonna get it, give it to Gable.
Gable?
Give it to Gable, dude. There's no one else in that area. Like, you've got, like, Ludwig, Gunther.
I like Ludwig.
The one that's just like him.
Like Gunther or
like Ludwig?
Oh, Ilya Dragunov.
Yeah, Ilya Dragunov.
Yeah.
Braun Breaker.
Braun Strowman and Braun Breaker?
Bronson Reed. Yeah.
Gosh.
You got those guys, and they're all in that Intercontinental run, and I just don't like them. And you got Gable in there. I feel like Gable could definitely, like, lead that area out of those guys. But, yeah, sweet. Sami retains.
Yeah. And then we got, obviously the Damian Priest, CM Punk, Drew Story, Seth Rollins now in that feud. I'm so excited to see what they do with that. I really am. And then, of course, we had the main event. Well, the main event with the Team of Bloodline and Cody Rhodes.
Really quickly,
yeah.
Before we wrap this up, let's talk about what we want in the future. Of the WWE. What's like a few matches that you see yourself wanting to see soon in the WWE, or maybe someone hold a title soon in the WWE?
Well, I mean, I want to see a Bloodline Civil War, absolutely. When that's gonna happen, I have no idea. Right? Depends if Roman comes back. I think it's coming for sure. I don't know who it's going to involve, though. A lot of people have said the Shield getting back together. I would say sure, except Dean Ambrose is out of WWE, so I don't see that happening.
Right, and he has quite a bit of contract left.
Yeah. I could see Sammy coming back to the Bloodline. Sure. That might be what they do with him. His Intercontinental title is he loses it at some point and rejoins the Bloodline as an honorary member. And then... I told you before we even watched Money in the Bank, I said Jey Uso is going to be involved somehow. He's going to rejoin the Bloodline at some point,
I want to see a Jimmy come back soon.
I'd love to see Jimmy come back. He's out with an undisclosed injury, so who knows how long that could be.
That could just mean he's on vacation.
Like, really?
Yeah, and so...
Okay, yeah.
But
what about you? Who do you want to see?
Dude, I want to see Otis. I want to see some more Otis. And I want to see him getting big.
I want to see him and Chad Gable.
He's over. He's over. Yeah. He is over, like, right now.
He is, yeah.
And
I love Otis.
I want to see him get some, like, sick runs right now. He's a big boy, and I want to see him get some big wins.
Historically, wrestlers of his stature, I mean, what do they normally wrestle for? What titles do they like to go after?
I mean, I really can't tell you. Like, the biggest guy that I can think of before him was Mark Henry, but he was legit the world's strongest man one year.
Yeah.
Like, he won the actual event, the world's strongest man.
Okay.
And so
cool.
he was actually strong. You know, I'm not saying Otis isn't actually strong. He's got that farm boy muscle. You know, but yeah, I mean, Otis, I would really like to see that. I think he's another intercontinental type of guy.
I could see that, yeah, because he's got some big contenders. I mean,
yeah.
Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed, both
Gable.
of them, yeah.
But yeah, I want to see him do something. Other than that, I'm really happy with where it's at right now. I want to see Tiff cash in
on Liv.
Yeah. Like when Liv is beaten down and bruised, so that she actually gets it. You know.
Yeah.
I want to see Tiff do a women's championship run now.
SummerSlam? Question mark?
Dude. No, she'll probably hold on to it till WrestleMania.
You think?
I think so, because, I don't know, they spent it, dude.
You know, the commentators did say, though, that every woman who's cashed in her Money in the Bank has won that match.
Wow. Yeah.
There's never been an instance of women's Money in the Bank being cashed in that they didn't win that match. So we'll see if Tiffany keeps that streak or breaks it, but I'm excited to see what she does with her briefcase.
Yeah. Well, I mean, overall, that's Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
That's the pay-per-view. It was really good. It was my least favorite one this year, but other than that, like,
up for it.
SummerSlam, hopefully they'll make up for it. But
so excited for that.
Thank you guys so much for listening to us today.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, make sure to hit that like. Please give us a subscribe if you're feeling up to it. And please leave us a comment and tell us something that you liked about Money in the Bank, or tell us something that you would like to see us talk about a little bit more. But with that being said, that's it for us. This is the Married to Wrestling podcast. Thanks for listening.